Viewer discretion is advised.
We have just come across this magnificent pair of lions. Welcome everyone, this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon again everybody, and welcome to this wonderful sunset safari with us on Safari Live. We've got a beautiful male lion and a female. We've just found them, they're just lying off the road. We're very, very lucky. We found these lions earlier today, and it looks like they've moved a little bit, and they're enjoying the shade. Just resting right off to the side of the road. Very, very fortunate to find them. So, welcome again. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this afternoon, we've got Zander, or Eggsy, as some of you may know him, and we've got Taylor and Brian on the other vehicle with us this afternoon. Welcome to the ladies in the FC, always great to have them with us, Rebecca and Kirsten, and a big welcome to all our viewers. It's always great to have all of you with us. And it's actually a wonderful afternoon. Bit of cloud cover now. It's cooled down a bit from the heat that we had earlier today. It's about 30 degrees Celsius or about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So a lovely afternoon, and with this cloud cover now, it really is great being out here. We are situated in the northern Sabi Sands in the Greater Kruger National Park, right up in the northeastern part of South Africa. We are on a game reserve known as Djuma. It's great to have you with us again. Please don't forget that this is a live safari, and send us your questions or comments either at Twitter with hashtag Safari Live, or otherwise email us questions at WildEarthTV. There's a lot going on, a lot of birds calling around us at the moment, and this is quite a nice afternoon drive too, a special afternoon drive, because we've got some little school kids joining us again, which is always great. It's lovely having young viewers, and hopefully they learn a lot while they're out on our safari with us this afternoon. These lions are completely relaxed. It is still very warm, so the chances of them moving around quite slim. The lions conserve their energy in the heat. They try and relax as much as possible and lie in the shade, and then later on when it starts cooling down, they'll probably move around quite a bit. That's a beautiful lioness, and these lions are from the Nkuhuma pride. And a good afternoon to the school. It is, I'm not sure which school it is. I think it's a Windsor Oaks Elementary. Lovely to have you with us this afternoon. Welcome to the little kids from Windsor Oaks. And please don't forget to ask Miss Hubble to send your questions through to us, and we'll gladly answer them. And don't worry, any questions are welcome, and we look forward to having your comments and questions. As I said, these little school kids are about 5 to 6 years old, and it's great that they are so interested in wildlife and they're able to join us. I'm going to sit with these lions for a little bit longer. While I do that, Taylor would like to say hello to you, and she's got a large animal with her that she wants to show you.
Good afternoon and welcome to an incredible sunset safari as normal. It looks like we might not have a sunset, and I very quickly want to welcome Windsor Oak Elementary School. Welcome, and we look forward to hearing all your questions. Now, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me I've got to introduce you to someone special. Have a look at this little character. This is the thumb, who's wearing a raincoat in preparation for the rain that we could get this afternoon. We're all keeping our fingers crossed. And that thumb belongs to Brian, who's actually controlling the camera and getting all these incredible shots. But look at this little chap that we've found for you this afternoon. Can you see him there? This is a young elephant bull, and he has just pushed this tree down. Look at that. Not a very big tree, but I don't think that between Brian and I we'd be able to push it over. Now you can see he's digging, and the reason why he pushed that tree over was, as you saw there, he's picked up a root. He wants to eat the root. This is incredible that we're just sitting meters from a wild animal. And I'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask me, or even if you'd like to ask Byron, I'd love to hear from you. So is there anybody sitting watching here who perhaps thinks that the elephant is their favorite animal? I'd love to hear from you. So ask your teacher to send us a message and tell us who of you love elephants. And remember, I can try and answer any questions you have about any of the animals. And I'd like to hear some questions from you about this elephant and see if we can learn a little bit this afternoon. Something very important is that you must remember to keep your volume turned up nice and loud, because there's all sorts of sounds that are going on in the background, lots of birds chatting, and you may even hear this elephant as he tears up the roots from the ground. Oh, we had an unexpected visitor. Listen to this. Do you see that little bird in there? That is a crested francolin making all of that noise, and he gave me a little bit of a fright the way he came flying and landing in here like a big Boeing. I'm surprised he didn't give Mr. Elephant a fright. Now it's very important that the elephants are able to push these big trees down, because at the moment when there's not too much food around, he needs to be able to eat the roots. Oh, Riley, you and I seem to have a telepathic connection. We're both thinking of exactly the same things today. So, Riley, you want to know, why do the elephants like to eat the trees? At the moment, it's really the only food that's around for them. There's not very much grass, but we did have lots and lots of rain yesterday. So, in a few days' time, I think that the grass will be nice and green again. We unfortunately have been experiencing a drought, and we are hoping that it's going to end this year. But by digging for the roots, there's lots of water in those roots.
Do elephants also eat grass, Samir?
Samir, you're wondering if the elephants also eat grass. Now, Samir, the elephants actually can eat everything. Of course, they don't eat other animals. They are just vegetarians. They like to eat grass when it is around. But unfortunately, in this area, it seems as though they feed predominantly on all the leaves. And they can even dig. And that's what those tusks are for, those big white things sticking out of his face, which is like a tooth. It's a modification of an incisor. Those big white things called tusks, and they can stick them into the ground and loosen the soil and dig for things like bulbs and of course roots and even water. So even when there isn't any water around, can you believe it that these elephants are able to have a look? Sorry, Rebecca. So I want you to have a look at me now. I need to do some dental work here, but come and have a look and let me show you my absolute best. I've got to hope, am I getting it on the right one? Brian, is that my incisor? Is that it? Is it? I can't feel where I'm going. There now. I can't see what I'm doing in my mouth at the moment, but those funny sharp teeth that you have on the side of your face, that's exactly what those are over there, but they're a little bit different. I wish I had teeth like that, because then I'd be able to dig under the ground with my mouth. Wouldn't that be lots of fun?
Why did the elephant push the tree down, Elijah?
Now, Elijah, like I said, we just missed this elephant pushing the tree down. Unfortunately, this elephant was feeling a little bit hungry. They like to eat all the time, and they need to eat lots all day long. And that's why he pushed the tree down. It's very difficult to see now because he is hiding behind the tree, but he's eating the roots that grow underneath the ground. There you can see a couple of them, a little bit higher, I think you might see them, that are sticking out. Can you see that little thin piece on the top of your screen? And there we go. Look at that. You see that reddish color amongst the grey? That is a root below the surface of the ground. And that's what he's digging for. It's almost like as if you were digging in the sand for some treasure. That's exactly what that elephant is looking for. Tristan, you want to know how the elephant pushed the tree down? With his muscles. He is very strong, and because he is the largest land mammal in the world, not even just in Africa, he is able to push things down like that. So what they will do is they'll walk up to the tree, and it depends how big it is. Normally, if it's a big tree with a big trunk, he'll lift his trunk up and put it onto the top of his head, and then he will push against it with all his might and power until it starts to crack. And sometimes you'll see them shaking it, pushing their head back and forth, and eventually the tree will snap and then fall over. But the idea is to try and get the roots from below the ground. So they don't want to snap the tree in the middle. They want to make sure that they push it, and all those roots, which are like chocolate, I suppose, for the elephants. So you can imagine they dig for it all the time, especially when there's not a lot of grass and stuff around.
Comment, Jayana. I love all these animals, Jayana.
Jayana, you're saying that you love all these animals? Well, I hope this is not the only animal we're going to see this afternoon. Hopefully we're going to see lots and lots of them. Now let's see if we can watch this elephant and see how it uses its trunk. He doesn't seem to be eating now. Perhaps he's too full and he's taking a little breather and just having a little break. It's almost like how much you eat on Thanksgiving. I'm sure that you know exactly, or on Christmas, or whichever day of the year you like to eat lots. Well, then you know how you feel after you've had lots of mom or dad's cooking.
Riley, why was that bird making such a noise, Riley?
Now, that bird was making an interesting noise when he came running in here, but he has gone now. And the reason, Riley, that he was making all that noise is I think he was declaring his territory. So what that means is that he was shouting to all the other birds in the area that are crested francolins, telling them that this is my space, I live here, don't come and take my home, this is occupied already. So there's somebody already living there. Maybe he's even trying to sing to the ladies, and he's trying to take them out maybe for a nice dinner and spoil his potential wife. Cody, you're wondering if we're going to see monkeys. Now, we may see monkeys, I'm not sure. We'll have to try and find some, but I know a few spots that we could see them, so perhaps we will leave this elephant now, and we'll head across and see if I can't search some beautiful trees that might have some fruit. And while I do so and look for the monkeys for Cody, let's go back across to Byron and see how those lions are doing.
Look at this, everybody. We've just found a beautiful little bird. This is called a plum-colored starling. Oh, there it goes. Just in time for you to see it. A beautiful, beautiful bird. So great that Taylor got to show you the elephant. We're still sitting with these two beautiful lions. They haven't moved much. You can have a look at this female. The flies are bothering her a little bit. Michaela, good afternoon, Michaela. And Michaela has asked us, will the lions wake up soon? So Michaela, you can see this female, that one over there, she is awake, but she is still resting. It's still very hot. So the lions don't like to move around too much when it's hot. You can see the male next to her is resting very comfortably there in the shade of the tree. He's not interested in moving anytime soon. Look at that. Look at that big mane. All that hair around his neck and his head. It's called the mane. And that's a big, big male. Look, he's sitting up. Oh, look at that. Look at those teeth, everyone. See how sharp those teeth are. Wow. Look at the female's paw. Beautiful. If you look closely at that male, look at his face. He's got lots of scratches around his face. Can you see that, everyone? All those little scars. And often the males look like this because they do get into a lot of fights with each other. And when they're trying to fight for dominance and territory. So to be the king of the jungle, the males fight with each other. And they often get very bad scars. And this male on the other side of his face has got a very, very bad scratch. And we're not too sure exactly what had happened. Maybe a fight with another male, and they just caught him with a claw or bit his nose a little bit. Or maybe he got injured while he was hunting. We don't know. But you can't see it now. It's on the other side of his face. And look at that female cleaning herself. Maybe trying to get rid of some fleas or ticks. And little Tristan, good afternoon Tristan. Tristan has asked, do the lions only move when it is cooler? So Tristan, not necessarily. Generally, the lions like to rest when it is hot and they prefer moving when it is cooler. But I have seen lions move during the day and even hunt during the day when it is hot. It all depends if there's food nearby. But at the moment, these two look very relaxed and they don't look like they want to move anytime soon. For those viewers who have just joined us, we have got a little school with us this afternoon, Windsor Oaks Elementary, and the little 4 and 5-year-olds, I believe, that are watching. It's lovely to have them with us. And kids, don't forget to ask Mrs. Hubble to send through your questions or your comments. Myself and Taylor will happily try to answer them for you. Now look at that face of the female. See, not nearly as much scarring as you could see on the male. She's got a beautiful face. Oh, hang on, there we go. Looks like the male was just playing with the female, biting her tail. See, they didn't want to move too far. Look at that yawn. That is a huge male. Very, very big. Can see their bellies are quite full. Look at that belly of the male, and that is because these lions have been very lucky or successful the last few days. They've caught some buffalo, and they've fed on buffalo, and that's nature, everyone. So Jana has just asked exactly that. What do the lions eat? So Jana, as I said, they do feed on buffalo, but the lions will also eat different types of antelope. So those are the different, almost like you have deer in North America, we have antelope in this area. So little Impala, kudu, and hopefully we'll get to show you some of those antelope over the next short time or the next few minutes. But these lions have been feeding on buffalo, so they're very, very full at the moment. I'm going to have a look and see if I can't find the rest of the pride which were in the area a little bit earlier. While I do that, let's get an update from Taylor.
Well, seeing as though Byron was just telling you about the favorite food of the lions, we managed to find one that is still alive. Now, this is an African and we say that they only eat grass or they only eat leaves, but sometimes they'll eat either or if there's nothing else around. But luckily for the giraffe, there are normally quite a few different types of trees that have leaves all year round. So that's called evergreen. Look at that little bird sitting on the giraffe's shoulder or his wither. Can you see that? That is called an oxpecker. Now, it's one of my favorite birds and they're quite funny to watch. And you're probably sitting there wondering, what is that oxpecker doing on that giraffe? And why is that giraffe not getting annoyed by the oxpecker? Well, they have a very nice relationship together. So they work together in life. The oxpecker helps clean the giraffe and remove all the ectoparasites. Now that's a big word, but it's basically any insects that suck the blood of the different animals. So ticks and fleas and mites, that oxpecker will rid that giraffe of all those little insects. And then of course in return the giraffe is repaid by having a free cleaning service. And of course it's food for that oxpecker too. So they live in life very happily together. But you don't just see the oxpeckers on the giraffe. You can also see them on the buffalo, on the elephants, on the rhinos, even on the impala, which is an antelope. He's very happily eating there. Has anybody got any questions for me? Come on, somebody must be asking something about a giraffe. These are very interesting creatures, and I'd love to hear from you. I'm sitting waiting with a big smile on my face, hoping that somebody's going to ask a question. Who's it going to be? But unfortunately, this giraffe is walking away now, and he looks like he's about to really disappear into the distance behind all the thick trees. And we're going to stay on the road, though. We're not going to go off-roading for this giraffe, because we don't want to make a new road in the bush. We'll rather leave it and just view him from a distance. But there he's gone. He's completely disappeared. But what we're going to do is we're going to check a watering hole. Brian, there is a watering hole up here.
I think so.
We think there is one. Let's go and have a look around the corner. There we go, Tristan. Hello, thank you for asking a question. Tristan, I know the giraffe has disappeared, but you wanted to know why is there a pattern on the giraffe. Now, the different colors and the different patterns on the giraffe, or not just the giraffe, but all the different animals in the world. It's very, very important to have more than one color, because that helps you blend into the vegetation very well. So the big word camouflage, you can use that. That's what it helps it does. So the more stripes you have, the more spots or the more blotches that you have on your body, like we saw with the giraffe, the better you are at hiding away in the bush. Even something like a big grey elephant can hide away really well, which I didn't think when I was little that they could ever hide away. So Sally, you're wondering where that giraffe went. Now, Sally, unfortunately, the giraffe and all the animals, actually not unfortunately, it's a good thing, is they've got almost 8.5 million acres of land to move around on. Isn't that quite spectacular, that they've got such a big home to live in? So they are not in a zoo or anything like this. This is actually all happening right now, and these are wild animals. So he just decided that he doesn't want to stick around with us anymore. And let me go and have a look around the dam and see if I can find anything interesting. Let's go back across to Byron, who's got something to show you.
Look here, everybody. Look what we've managed to find. It's quite a thick area, and we just got a glimpse of them. But here's the rest of the pride with the little cubs. Look at them sleeping, all in the shade, resting. There we go, there's one of the cubs. You can see the the ears flicking. Completely relaxed. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? And Riley asked us a question. She would like to know, do the lions like to play with each other? Yes, Riley, they do indeed, especially when they're young. The little cubs are very, very playful. And not now because they're resting, because it's still very hot. But Riley, they do love to play, and that's the way they learn. When they're playing the whole time and jumping and catching and chasing each other, all of that teaches them how to hunt when they get older. So the lions do like to play with each other. Even adults sometimes. The females, we saw the other day, 2 females were running and chasing each other and playing. So they do sometimes like to play with each other. I'm so glad we got to show you the little cubs and the little babies. That's the big mother that is lying to the right, and then the rest of the little cubs over there. And there's one big female in there too. It's a bit difficult to see. You can just see her big leg. There we go, that's the leg of the other mother. And this is very special. So these little cubs are about, I think about 4 months old, almost 5 months old now. So they're quite big, and they're already eating meat with the parents, with their mothers and the big males. These lions are probably still going to stay in this area for a long time, until it gets a bit cooler, when the temperature becomes cooler and drops. And so that will mean a little bit later this afternoon, and maybe even early evening. So just when some of you are getting ready for bed, these lions will start waking up and moving around quite a lot, and maybe even looking for food tonight. Elijah has asked us a question, and Elijah would like to know, would the babies ever leave their mommies? So Elijah, no, when they are young, they have to stay with their mommies, because otherwise they won't be able to get any food. So when they are very young, the babies or the cubs will stay very close to their moms or to their mothers until they get a little bit older. And when they get much older, just like we sometimes leave our parents' homes when we get older, some of the cubs, and mainly the males, might leave the pride or leave the family, and they will go and set up a territory or a home for themselves somewhere else. But the female little cubs, the young girls, they will stay within the group, within the family. So Tristan has asked us a question, and Tristan wants to know, why don't the babies wander off or move away? So Tristan, the reason is because they know that the females, the big females or their mothers, protect them. If these little cubs or babies were by themselves, they would be in some serious trouble, because they could maybe bump into another predator like a hyena or maybe even a leopard. So it is much safer for them to stay with their parents. Or with the mothers and the father if he is around. Now, these babies are still busy sleeping. Taylor has got another baby that she would like to show you.
Look at this very funny little elephant. It's quite difficult to see him though, but it's the one in the middle between the two elephants. He has found himself a little hole which Mom has dug for some water in this riverbed, but now he's leaving very disappointed because he didn't get anything to drink. I think that hole was a little bit too deep for his short trunk. Don't worry, little one, in a few years time you'll be digging your own holes and looking for your own water. Now unfortunately it's that time of the afternoon. We're going to have to say goodbye to all of you at Windsor Oak Elementary, but it has been an absolutely lovely afternoon, and I look forward to hearing from all of you soon. So just from myself and of course the Thumb and Brian, and I'm glad that you all enjoyed it, but we're going to have to say goodbye now. So we'll see you next time. Look what we found over here. We found a lovely herd of elephants down in a dry riverbed or a drainage line, which doesn't surprise me at all because it's the nice and the coolest spot to be out in today. It wasn't as hot as what it was yesterday, but it's fairly warm. And now we're going to see if this elephant that's sort of behind the rest of the herd is going to go to a little hole that's just ahead of it, which one of the other elephants has actually dug. And we must have missed them digging this hole to get some fresh water. Would have been amazing to see that. I haven't seen elephants digging for water since Zambia, which was quite special to see that, how they go down, use their tusks to loosen the soil and then kick it out with their feet, scoop it out with their trunks. And that's the best way. I think if I was an elephant, I'd probably dig for water all the time, because you know you're going to get those beautiful fresh upwellings of cold water, not the hot water that's been sitting in the sun all day. And it'd be so refreshing. But they're very happy down there, and we're quite thankful though that it has started to cool down a little bit, but it's fairly humid. When we're driving, it's obviously nice and cool, and I can imagine that we feel when we're moving in the vehicle exactly what the elephants are feeling at the moment while they're flapping their ears. A lovely cool breeze on our skin. And remember, we are on a live safari, so myself and Byron would love to hear from you. You can either do so by hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter, or you can send us emails, questions@WildEarthTV. Sorry, having a good little chuckle at myself. When Rebecca was talking, I could hear everything that I was saying, and you know what it's like when you do a video, or Brian is laughing hysterically, so if you see the camera shake, that's why he's really having the good giggles there. But you know what it's like when you hear the sound of your own voice, you think you sound terrible, and now it was horribly embarrassing, but just to myself, of course, having a good chuckle. Now, I hope I really don't sound that bad. And Jason, I know you were asking this afternoon, what's the largest group of elephants that I've come across? Now, the biggest herds I ever saw were on the plains in the Lower Zambezi National Park. They were massive, but it wasn't just one herd. It was a few groups of elephants that have come together, and sort of just after the rains, almost to do their migrate, like they'd come from maybe further south in the park or further north in the park, wherever they had been, and maybe even swum across from Zimbabwe and decided to come across because we had some lovely rain and eat all the new grass that was coming through. And I saw about 300 elephants or so together, and that was really special. I'm sure it could have been a couple more, but I couldn't quite count all of them. And that was really nice to see. The biggest herd of elephants I've seen in the Sabi Sands was actually down in the south, and I saw about 150 together, and it was absolutely beautiful, also out onto an open plain. But I really love this view from up top here. Normally we only get sort of the same eye level view of an elephant, or maybe they're obviously a little bit bigger. But it's nice to look down onto them as they move along this drainage line, and we're really not bothering them at all. They're completely relaxed with us being here. We're not even in their comfort zone or anything like that. They're completely ignoring us, which is also quite nice. But they're moving so slowly, and they look so peaceful this afternoon. Oh, and having a little bit of a siesta as she goes along. You can see how she's resting her trunk on the ground, just relaxing. And I'm sure that lovely wet sand that's down there, you can see it's not as white and fluffy as it normally is. I'm sure that must be quite nice, that cool touch to the skin. I'm trying to think. Yesterday the temperature was about 97 degrees Fahrenheit, and I think today it's only about 90, and we can definitely notice a difference. I'm so happy that we're not in that sweltering heat again. This morning got quite hot, and then luckily it cooled off slightly, and off they slowly go, carrying on. This little one's not venturing too far from mom, and hasn't the entire time we've been there. Oh, there we go, going in for a suckle. Now I'm sure that this calf is coming to the end of its days, its suckling days. It looks fairly large from up top here. It looks to be probably around 3.5 years old. So I don't think it will be suckling for too much longer. And hopefully mom's got another little Ellie calf starting to develop inside her womb, so we can keep those populations of all the different animals growing. That's what we need. And off they go. Isn't this lovely? Well, I think we're going to move on from here, though. We want to carry on checking the watering holes. Right, but let's go back to Byron, who's got some very sleeping kahumas this afternoon.
That's right, Taylor. They are indeed sleepy. They're still resting. It is still quite warm, so I think that's why they're just enjoying the cool shade of this drainage line and the cool sand. It's one of the lionesses over there. Jason has asked for a cub count. So Jason, let me just have a look quickly with my binoculars. I think, okay, what have I got? Jason, it's a bit trickier. It is quite thick here at the moment. I can see 6. I've counted 6. But hang on, there's one up there. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, all 8 are here. Yeah, all 8 are here, Jason. I've seen them there. They spread around all over the place a little bit. So all 8 cubs are here with the females and the one male. One male's just lying. You can't actually see him very well. He's in the really dense bush just below us. You can see how thick it is in there. And you know, we always say, well, these lions do rest a lot and they conserve their energy, and even though it looks like they are fast asleep, I can promise you and guarantee you that if something had to walk past a buffalo or an impala or anything like that, and these lions picked up on the movement or the sound or the smell, they would be up in a flash and they would still hunt. It's happened quite a few times. I've been fortunate to see it myself, sitting in a sighting with lions, afternoon just like this, very warm, and all of a sudden a antelope has come running through and they were up in a flash and they managed to catch it was actually an impala on both occasions, or 2 occasions that I saw it. And it is incredible to see how quickly they react when they have to or when they want food. So even though they look like they sleep, they're still completely aware of what is going on around them, which is fascinating. A lot of birds calling above us, some starlings. Up over there, there we go. Oh, they might sit just off to the left. There's a nice little, we go a little bit further left, there we go, right out in the open on that dead tree. 2 starlings, Burchell's starlings, a little bit larger than the Cape glossy starling or the greater blue-eared starling. Those are 3 species we get here that look very similar, except the Burchell starling is much larger than the other 2 species, and that's these ones that we have here. Speaking about the birds, there were a few comments this morning about the kingfisher that we saw, and just to clarify, it was the brown hooded kingfisher. It was not the woodlands kingfisher. We're still waiting to see when we're going to hear them and possibly see some of those when they return, maybe a little bit later in the month or possibly beginning of next month. But this morning's kingfisher was a brown hooded kingfisher. And because of all the rain, the wonderful rain we had last night, we had a big storm. Those of you who missed this morning's drive, it was incredible. Thunder, lightning, hail. And because of that, we've seen a lot of insects this morning. A lot more insects became active. And Taylor has one of the insects, a very interesting insect, that she's going to show you.
Seen as though we broke the curse and we found those large copper dung beetles earlier this morning. I found another one for you. Now I've picked it up, and just to show you how small this little dung beetle is in comparison to my finger, I want to turn it around quickly. Please say hello to the camera. There it is. There's the face of this little dung beetle. And isn't it precious? Beautiful greens on it, and a little bit of copper as well, just on the edges of the shell. Now, this little dung beetle over here is most likely the male who's rolled this beautiful ball of, I'm not sure what dung I've actually got in my hands. Please don't be lying. Though I think I would probably smell it. So it does smell like some sort of herbivore's dung. And I'm probably going to put it down in a moment, and then I'll carry on telling you about it. But I just thought I'd give you a little show. But what this male does, I'm going to quickly pop it back down onto the ground. Yes, I'm going now. Oh, sorry, here we go. Here's your ball. Take it back. And off they go, happily as ever. And I think that male has done a great job building that beautiful ball, and hopefully he gets to find a lady who he'll be able to present it to, and hopefully she'll accept his gift. Sorry, I'm bending down, I'm looking for my little box to plug my earpiece in. Now don't be careful now, don't come on the road, we don't want you to get run over. And if she does accept it, well, they'll take it down and they'll bury it, and then she'll lay one little egg inside that ball, where the larvae will then hatch and eat its way out. So it's not just a home for the larvae, an environment for the larvae to hatch in, but it's also a source of food, which it'll munch away, and then it will pupate and turn into a bigger dung beetle. So that's always quite fun to see so many of them, and hopefully we'll find a big bit of dung, fresh dung, maybe some elephant dung, and hopefully we'll get some beautiful, I'm just having a look at the sky, and hopefully we'll get lots of different dung beetles. Have a look at the light coming through the clouds. This is so special. Now, Byron is chatting about the thunder and lightning, and Brian thinks that we could possibly get some rain, and that's of course why the thumb has got a raincoat on. But isn't this beautiful? Isn't this lovely? I just wanted to say hello to Herbert. Hello, Herbert. How's it going? Good. You can hear Herbert is next to me. Now, Fran, you're wondering how much rain we got last night. Herbert, did you check the rain gauge? 20 mils. Thank you so much. I thought it was somewhere around there, but I didn't get an opportunity to check the rain gauge, unfortunately. So quite a bit, Fran. I think it's going to do the lovely grass and all the trees lots of good. And I hope to see, now that we've had the second burst of rain, that we are going to get some flowers that are going to start popping through, other than just the morning glory and the string of stars. There's one in particular I'm after, and I can't wait to find it so I can show you, and that is of course the roadside pimpernel, or the lion's eye, that bright orange flower that grows out here in the African bush. Now I want to very quickly have a conversation with Herbert. Oh, we have a request. Okay, we'll get back to that request. Now I just want to chat to Herbie. Herbie, are you just doing a drive? There's Herbie. Are you looking for...
No, I've been trying to see if I can pick up some leopard tracks, but unfortunately they are still on Oakman.
Oh no, so it sounds like Herbie was out trying to find us some leopards this afternoon, but it seems as though they're just off our traverse, but that's okay. Maybe we get lucky a little bit later and possibly one will come down. Hey Herbie, what's your plan now? Are you carrying on with the drive, or are you going home?
No, I'm
driving around.
Yeah.
Herbie, the #1 tracker, is going to help us find a leopard, and you know him, he always prevails. He found the nkahumas this morning, which I could have possibly accidentally driven past. But anyway, Herbie, have a great afternoon, and we will see you a little bit later, but let's carry on. We're actually going to turn around. So Brian was saying that he wants to see the dams today. There we go. Sorry, I was just listening to a nice request that we have had come in this afternoon from Musical. Now, Some of you may have remembered almost a month ago or so now, when we had our first bouts of rain, that I decided to pick a spot and we monitored how the grass was growing. Now Musical wants to know if we can perhaps stop past there. We can indeed do so, and maybe what I'd like to even do is, because the animals have eaten most of the grass, it's almost like we've had to start from the beginning again. Perhaps we're going to try a different section, and I have an area in mind. It's around Impala Road, quite close to Vultures access. And the reason why I want to choose this area is after the last rains, I couldn't believe the rate at which the grass was growing, and it almost carpeted that area so quickly. So I think it would be quite nice to change it up a little bit, and let's do a different shot. So we'll do a big loop. We're going to do a tour of all the dams this afternoon, in case you missed the morning show, and we'll show you how much water we had. And I know that Brian said that he'd like to see how much water is in sort of Buffelshoek Dam, because I told him, and he doesn't want to believe me, that it's almost full to the top. It's not really full to the top, but it's the fullest that I've seen it since I've been here. So that was nice. So 20 mils of rain exactly. I sort of guessed this morning I was somewhere around there, but I'm glad. Now, welcome Paula. Paula, I believe that you're a new viewer. We're so happy to have you watching us, and we hope that you enjoy it, and keep asking as many questions as you like. And you'd like to know this afternoon, do we ever put water out for the animals if there isn't rain? So the answer to that question is, in fact, yes we do, but a very minimal amount. And one of the reasons why we have the odd sort of man-made pan where we pump water, and like I said, it's not usually a large quantity, is just because of all the build-up around these natural areas in the communities, and drawing water from the river sources, as we have and as man have done over thousands of years now, is that unfortunately these rivers that would have flown naturally seem to have sort of dried out. So we just provide a little bit of extra water as a helping hand. But like I said, it's not enough. Even then we get to a point where we can't pump any more water, and if it runs out, well then unfortunately it runs out. And these animals do have the ability to migrate either further north or south, and there are plenty of parts where they can then drink water. We saw that elephant today, how it was digging for water. Well, we just missed it digging for the water. I used to see in Zambia big herds of elephants moving through the beautiful big dry riverbeds in the dry season, and they would all dig a couple of holes, and we'd see the impala and the zebra and waterbuck actually following the elephants, and once they'd moved out, they'd come through afterwards and drink from some of those elephant holes with the beautiful fresh upwellings of water I was telling you about earlier. So that's a strategy that they can rely on other animals for digging water for them. In this area it's not so common though. Up in the north we don't seem to have as big drainage systems or riverbeds, and that's where it's important for the animals to perhaps move even further north into the Manulet, into the Tibavati, or further south down towards the Sabi River and the Sand River, and of course the Crocodile River, and those areas where there still seem to be quite a bit of water throughout the year. So that's the sort of idea behind it. Now I'm also just checking along the drainage lines that we have seen Karula sort of moving around before, or for anyone really, any of the leopards, but I haven't seen any tracks yet. It's getting to the point where we're bound to have one pop out in front of us, or come across and around the corner and see a leopard in a marula tree and a torchwood tree. Oh, this is something I need to remember. Tomorrow I have to remember to bring the little marula fruit that I found with me. I found it on the floor in camp, and I will bring that tomorrow morning. I'll put it in my pocket this evening. Now, but let's go back across to Byron and get a little update on those Nkuhumas.
So Taylor, we've actually just left the Nkuhuma Pride, and everyone who just left them, they fast asleep or resting until it gets a bit cooler. So we're probably going to try return there a little bit later. Hang on, I've seen some elephant. Yeah, so we'll probably go back a little bit later. They're resting. It's a bit tricky to view them from there, well, where they were. So maybe we're lucky and they come out a little bit later on. Have a look. Can you see that elephant through there? There we go. Actually heard these branches, or these elephant breaking branches from where we were sitting with the lions. I really can't tell you how happy I've been the last 3 or 4 days. There's just been elephant everywhere. It is so wonderful. I really, really love watching elephant. I can spend hours with them. See how that elephant's using his trunk to pick small little branches or leaves. And we've got a question from Lady Kashara, and she would like to know, how old is the oldest elephant in the area? We don't know. It's almost impossible to tell. The reason is there are so many elephants within the Greater Kruger National Park. The African elephant, though, the average age that they suspect they live up to is about 55 to 60 years old. So the oldest one in this area is possibly somewhere around there. But I don't know, we'd have to see a very, very old bull. There are not too many of them walking around. But that would be the oldest, is somewhere around there, that age. So almost 60 years old. See that elephant flapping its ears? And it's doing that because it's trying to cool down. So if you look closely, see those veins behind the ears, at the back of the ear, you can actually see that very clearly. Now, what these elephants do is they flap their ears. Their ears aren't very thick. The skin is very, very soft and thin. And what they do is they flap their ears like this. And what it does is it cools the blood that is running through those veins in the ears. And it takes about 7 to 9 minutes for the blood to circulate through the entire body. And slowly but surely, the temperature, the body temperature is cooled by the flapping of the ears and cooling of the blood. Not by much, but it does help regulate temperature slightly. Really is incredible. And we've got a question from Rob in Liverpool. Good afternoon, Rob. And Rob would like to know, what is the hottest temperature I've ever had to drive in or take an afternoon game drive? I'm trying to think now, Rob. I think it's probably around 46 degrees, 45, 46 degrees Celsius. I think it's around 110, 114 degrees Fahrenheit, somewhere around there. So very, very hot. And yeah, that's probably the hottest. But in some parts of the country, depending on the time of year, it gets even hotter. And Rob, you also want to know, does it ever get too uncomfortable? It's difficult to say. It can get a bit uncomfortable. But you know what we try and do then is try and move through the drainage lines, through the cooler areas, not really park out in the sun, maybe park under the trees. We've got a bit of shade. That usually helps alleviate the heat a little bit, but it can be really hot at times. I know in some parts of the Kalahari it gets up to about 50 degrees Celsius, and that's the kind of the western to northwestern part of South Africa, and it's very, very hot out there. See if there are any other elephants around. Just saw 2 or 3 down there that were feeding. There weren't many more I could see. There's another one. They're just dotted through or around this drainage line. I think what they're doing is trying to feed on the green vegetation that you find down there. Because of the water that is usually found within these drainage lines, the water table is much higher than it would be up in these areas, up on the crests. So what happens is there's a lot more vegetation, green vegetation, for those animals to feed on, like the elephant. There's a lot of humidity in the air this afternoon. It feels like the rain is building again. I'm not too sure. A lot of cloud cover, but there is a lot of humidity, and you can feel it. It's quite muggy. We're approaching a little waterhole up ahead, or a little dam. We saw how some of these areas filled up this morning from the rain that we had last night. We'll see, maybe we're lucky and something is drinking around here. And some Impala already, and now just in front of us. I think we need to stop and look at these Impala a little bit. They're so beautiful. They really are. And very, very soon, these Impala are all going to start lambing. And I think we may have to start taking bets on when the first Impala lamb is seen. I know we've all put down our guesses for when the first woodlands kingfisher is going to arrive and is going to be heard. But I think the Impala lamb has to be on that list too, the first Impala lamb. So maybe we'll sit around this evening and discuss it with the rest of the team. Very graceful antelope, beautiful antelope. Sometimes we take for granted, because there are so many of them, and we take it for granted when we do see them. It's wonderful to spend time and watch these antelope. I mean, they are incredible. They are so alert, so aware, and very fast and agile animals. The Impala do this wonderful display known as stotting. And occasionally you see them when they run and they jump. They almost rock in the air. They basically lift their back legs and drop their front legs. And they leap these huge heights and distances. It's wonderful to see. Just saw a little bird land in the tree. I just want to see if it's something. It's a wattled starling that's just flown, but it's a bit difficult to see. I don't think you'd be able to see it now. And well camouflaged. A lot of wattled starlings around at the moment. We're going to continue looking around this area. Taylor's got a striped animal to show you.
And of course, a game drive would not be complete without our daily dose of zebra and of course buffalo. And I'm sure we will find many more buffalo this afternoon. Perhaps we're going to find the lions on a buffalo when it gets a little bit cooler. But this seems to be like a beautiful stallion, standing proud and tall, munching away. Now slightly separated from the rest of the herd, but that's okay. I think he deserves a bit of alone time every now and then as well. Here he goes, having a little look at us, but you can see how beautiful and stocky he is. He is in his prime at the moment. Very big neck, mane standing up nice and straight, and of course complete with big shoulders and a lovely hindquarter. He would make a very nice show pony actually, but it's best that he stays out here in the wild, of course. And that's one of the things. The zebras do not enjoy being domesticated. They prefer it out here. They kick and bite 10 times worse than a pony. But they're lovely. And that's something I haven't seen too much of. Now, I've just been thinking about all the buffalo that the lions have caught over the past few weeks, and it's just been absolutely incredible how they're really making use of all the buffalo that are around at the moment. Now, in case you were concerned about the animals, especially 2 mornings ago when we found the 2 dead buffalo, It is definitely because of the drought. I was chatting to a few people down in the southern sand, and they say that it's the same thing. The buffalo, unfortunately, just can't take it anymore, and they are also dying down in the south. They say almost around every corner there are dead buffalo. But remember, this is very important. As sad as what it is, this is nature. These types of things do happen, and it's very good to try and keep the populations in check. It's the same thing with mange and diseases, canine distemper, whatever it may be. It can't only just be the herbivores that suffer, and there needs to be a means to try and control the predator populations, and that of course comes in the form of diseases, which is sad, but it is one of those things. Now we see the zebra going to the restroom. Perhaps we should sit here and wait for 20 minutes to see if there are any dung beetles that are going to come and join, but unfortunately it's just a little bit too far off the road. But that's a theory I've always wanted to test, to see exactly how long after an animal has defecated will it take the dung beetles to sort of arrive and spot it. But let's go up a little bit further. There's a couple more zebra and I think some impala, and I can just hear a few little cracks up ahead sort of from the trees. Maybe it is just the impala and zebra walking around. But let's just poke our noses up ahead. And I'm quite enjoying this little bumble. It's actually really refreshing now. I think out of all the days, it was perfect that it started off nice and hot, and it's just gradually cooled. And I think it might even end with me perhaps putting on a rain jacket. These clouds are looking quite daunting, and it's getting nice and dark. And there's another zebra. Hello, Zebby. Listening to what I'm about to say. No, don't worry, I won't talk too much nonsense this afternoon. Just a little bit. And it's also so unique on the Burchell zebra how they're not exactly just black and white, of course, that shadow stripe. But what I really love is that sort of rust color that shadow stripe brings to the entire body, unlike sort of the Cape Mountain zebra or any other species where it's sort of just solid black and white stripes. I quite like it. There's quite a bit of character on the body of a Burchell zebra. They're all feeding happily here, but like I said, it is sad to see that the grass is now finished and they're having to resort to moving off into the denser areas again to look for grass that hasn't been eaten. Hello, Lauren from Australia. You're wondering if zebras ever or can ever have twins. Of course, they can indeed, very much like horses, but it's not very common out here. And if she does, or if the mare does have two foals, I think that would be a jolly tough job, especially when you've got lots of lions and hyenas and, of course, leopards. A big male leopard could easily take a zebra foal, and you can imagine it's hard enough trying to keep tabs on one foal or one baby. Now imagine if you've got two of them. It also put a lot more pressure on her. She'd have to start eating almost double the amount in order to produce enough milk. And at times like these, that can be quite stressful. So you may even see that unfortunately one of the foals, if they were to be twins, that maybe wouldn't make it, just purely because there is not enough sustenance around for mom to keep producing lots and lots of milk. And we know what little babies are like, humans and of course animals. They are gutsy little things, eating machines. That's all they do, eat and poop, and that's it, until they start developing their personality and all those amazing things that comes with it. And off they go. But I think let's carry on up ahead. The zebra also now disappearing into the thicket, just behind a shrub where we can't see them too much. But let's carry on a little bit further ahead. Our goal is to end up around not Sydney's Dam. We want to have a look at Bivelshoek Dam, and then we want to go and find a new area to have a look and see if we can't get a little shot. It may be tricky to get a shot of the grass though this evening, so if we don't do it this evening because it's getting dark, I will remember we'll do it tomorrow morning. But let's go back across and see how Byron is doing on this lovely afternoon.
We're searching, that's what we're doing, Taylor. We're having a look around. There's a lot of antelope around here, just all impala scattered around in front of us. You see them just moving around. Haven't found anything else yet. I'm very surprised. No sign of any leopard activity this morning or this afternoon. And I do think what's possibly happened is maybe the leopards have managed to kill something in the evening. You know, with that rain, a lot of the predators rely on the rain for hunting, because then it's easier to stalk and look or potentially hunt any prey. Lions do use the rain, and especially leopards. A lot of the time after rainstorms, I've found kills and animals like leopard or lion. I think maybe what happened is, if they did make a kill during that storm, the storm would have also washed away all their tracks. So it's very difficult for us to then find out where those leopards are or where the predators are. Hang on. Some vultures on the ground. I think we know what that was. This is the area that the lions killed that buffalo yesterday. So there's a few, probably some remains around there. I'm trying to think. It's just off-road. We do need to be a little bit sensitive with off-roading at the moment, purely because it is still quite dry, and we usually only off-road for certain animals and lions. Those vultures, you know, they're just taking off. And it's exactly that. It's that old buffalo carcass that the lions came across yesterday. That's exactly what it was. This is where Taylor was yesterday morning. She was with that old buffalo carcass, but I see those vultures have all just taken off there now. Also, don't want to disturb them if they are feeding. Nice to see them on the ground. Well spotted. There's one still down there. If we had to drive in there now, we'd probably chase them off, and we don't want to do that. So this is one of the carcasses. There's been a lot of carcasses around the last day or two. But it is quite thick through there now anyway. I don't think we'd be able to get in there. I know Taylor had one carcass this morning with a lot of vulture activity. I think that's not too far from this area either. But those vultures, most of them just took off now again. Yeah, so I think yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, there were three or four different buffalo carcasses from these lions, which is incredible. They came across a herd and they hunted one after another. It really was amazing. Just shows you how opportunistic they can be. And they do it purely because it's instinct. They don't know when they're going to get the next meal. So if food is readily available, they will go out and hunt. A lot of Impala around here. So Donna has asked us a question, and Donna would like to know, what is the cat sighting record, big cat sighting record at the moment for Safari Live? And I think it is 48 days solid of seeing lions on Safari Live. Or any big cat, but big cats in general, lion or leopard, but 48 days every day I'd know for a fact for lions, which is incredible. That really is amazing. So we've been very fortunate. Alright, let's see what else we can find. Whole time we've got to keep scanning. Sometimes quite tricky, and you know, I always say, I'm sure over the years, my guiding experience, over the years I've been guiding, I'm sure I've missed a lot, because sometimes it's just almost impossible to see everything. Myself and Eggsy are going to carry on scanning and hopefully find something soon. We're heading towards one of the big dams, Buffelshoek Dam, so maybe we get something there. While I do that, let's get an update from Taylor and see where she is.
Now, I'm looking for a termite mound. I found a termite mound, but I'm going to climb it and I'm going to stand on the top of it now. Rebecca, can I just have that termite question once more? I just want to double check before I jump out. Rebecca's just going to read me a question about termites very quickly. There we go. Off I go, out I jump with everything that's on my shelf. You almost got me falling out of the vehicle. I was being attacked by a variety of things. But now let me try and climb this termite mound. Whew. It's a big one. And I went running today and did squats and all sorts of things, and my legs are very stiff. But we'll get up. Dun, 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 dun. I feel like a champion right now. Honestly, I feel on top of the world. You won't believe how much I can see from up here. No wonder the kudu and all sorts of things and the leopards come up to the top of the termite mounds to have a look and scan around. But I'm going to take a seat. Oh, it's a bit soft. Now, we had a question earlier, and now my brain has gone all boggly after climbing up here. We take a seat though. But it was about if I wonder if any of the termite mounds are perhaps going to explode this afternoon. Now, I hope so. I'm hoping in the next few days. But we'll try not to get too excited, because I know that I've been waiting for the last 2 months now to see this. But I have to tell you that... Sorry, just listening. Thought I heard something, but it's obviously not anything. I did see a giraffe in the distance. Maybe it was that. We did see lots of ants this morning, little ant alates flying around of various species, so that was quite nice that they managed to release those, but nothing happening just here, unfortunately. It seems to be dormant, this mound, but perhaps it's active below the surface. Woo! Now, I'm taking deep breaths because I didn't realize how soft the soil was here. Normally the termite mounds are like concrete, but let me jump and run round the corner. Woo! Back. And back we go. Into the termite, and not into the termite mound. My goodness, what is wrong with me? My brain is officially fried from all this heat. But let's carry on. Now, I keep getting distracted because one of our plans, and I very quickly need to readjust all the things that I'm sitting on. There we go. That feels a little bit better. Is that we want to go. And I will eventually get to a place, if we think we've got enough light for this afternoon, to also do the comparison of the grasses. But we'll see how that goes. Oh, here's a bird we haven't said hello to for quite some time on top of that cluster leaf. And it's definitely one we didn't get to stop at today. And just a quick glimpse, it has raced off chasing somebody else. Very typical of the fork-tailed drongo. They're quite aggressive, and when anybody comes into their territory, well, they don't take lightly to it, I'm afraid. But never mind, we can continue, and I am going to keep an eye out for the termite mound, so I'm probably going to stop and do a lot of jumping out today, just double checking, making sure if we can see any. James Richard, it sounds like you know the answer to this one already. You want to know which insect that is not a butterfly or a moth has the largest wingspan. I'm not sure. Now, I wonder if it's perhaps not one of the praying mantises. I know you can get really big praying mantids, but off the top of my head, I can't even think who is the largest if it's not a butterfly or a moth. We've got some more zebras. I'm going to go with something random. You've caught me off guard here, but I I'm sure that you'll be able to find out that question, but I would go with something like a praying mantis. I think people underestimate the size of a praying mantis. Of it. It would be nice if some of you actually have a look without Googling, or just have a guess and see what you think. The answer to James Richards' question is what insect do you think is the largest wingspan with, other than a butterfly and of course a moth? Now, Monique, we were chatting about termite mounds, and I was out hopping around doing all sorts of crazy things, and you were wondering, what am I talking about when I say explosion of the termite mound? Now, normally once a year, usually as the first rains or the second rains arrive, it depends on how much rain you get, and we had a decent amount for the first time. And what happens is that those princes and princesses of the termites, of the ants, will then be released in order to go and start and make a colony for themselves. And when we say explosion, it's because they all come out of the termite mound at once, and you almost can't see any ground. It's just wriggling little termites. Some of them are not actually too small, they're quite large in fact. And because termites are such a good source of protein, so many different animals come out to eat them, and that's what I'm really excited about, is to see the frogs, the snakes, the owls, and even, I just thought I think I can hear a few frogs croaking in the distance, and even things like African civets, genets, which we don't always see, or when we see them, we only see a glimpse of them. They even come around and become quite relaxed when they're in a feeding frenzy on top of a mound, trying to guts as many termites as they can. That is really quite special to see. Now, Lauren, you're wondering if termites are nocturnal. They are indeed, and that's because of their very sensitive exoskeleton. Unfortunately, it cannot handle the heat of the sun, so they normally come out at night. Also work as hard as they can, but they do carry on working inside the mound during the heat of the day. And sometimes at night they even put up little temporary shelters, sort of over a section of vegetation that they want to take back to the mound. And then they're able to continue working throughout the day. Now, one thing we're going to do tonight before we end the show, though, is we're going to go and sit at a dam and hopefully listen to the array of frogs that I'm sure we will hear. Isn't that going to be quite exciting? You can remember when we did the safari marathons, we had a bit of rain and we got to hear the beautiful choruses of all the different frogs. Having a little groom. Almost forgot we were watching the zebra, chatting so much about termites. But of course they're right here, carrying on with their day. Not even too bothered by us at all. We're having better luck with the zebras today. They don't seem to be racing away like they normally do. I can't say the same for the Impala though. One day the Impala will like me. But for now, it seems as though it's not going to be today, I'm afraid. So we've had a few different answers coming through, from Praying Mantis agreeing with me to James Richards' question. And we've had Tarantula. Now, Jason, I don't know if Tarantula could be one of the answers. The only reason being is because a tarantula wasp. Sorry, Rebecca, I only caught the tarantula part. Then, of course, Jason, it can be a tarantula wasp. That's a good guess. There were a couple of others as well. Now I wonder, James Richard, I wonder if you could let us all know, though, what the actual answer is to that question. I'm sure it's a very interesting fact, that. And it will definitely be going into the notebook now. Seems as though Byron's got a few tricks up his sleeve this afternoon. Why don't you jump onto the back of his vehicle and see what he's got?
And tricks, I don't have any tricks up my sleeve this afternoon, but we just got to Buffelshoek Dam and just have a look at how full it is. Those of you who missed it this morning, from all that rain we had last night, it really is incredible. Look at that. That's amazing, just from one really big storm. So it's obviously got a very good catchment area. Just trying to have a look and see what... There's some Egyptian geese at the edge of the water, just to the right. There we go. Really are beautiful birds, the Egyptian geese. They are found everywhere. Oh, no animals down here drinking though. I know Taylor was asked a question regarding the wingspan of insects and which insect has the largest wingspan other than a butterfly or a moth. Now, if I think about it, insects that I know that do have really long wingspans, one of them are dragonflies. Dragonflies have got very long wingspans for the size of their body, so I'm sure it's all relative in terms of the actual size of the body. So dragonflies, and then locusts. Locusts have got huge wingspans, especially the larger locusts. When they're swarming, their wingspans are quite large. So my guess would be perhaps one of those, but we'll sit and maybe discuss it this evening and see if we can't find out exactly. It's a good question. Never really thought of it, but my guess would possibly be one of those two species of insect. But it is interesting, and there's maybe something else we haven't thought of yet. I think let's carry on and see what else we can find. Not much happening at the dam at the moment. Well, the sun is sneaking through. I think we're going to have a beautiful sunset because there's still a lot of cloud cover around. So in the next hour or so, or actually half an hour, 45 minutes, and Taylor's got something else she'd like to show you, something interesting apparently.
While we were sitting with the zebra, I could hear some strange noises going in the distance on this little tree. And you can see an insect sitting on this branch. Now, I have my suspicions. I think it's a cicada that we're looking at. I'm not sure which one, but you can see those big beady eyes. And of course, it's almost transparent wings, which is quite typical of a cicada. Now, sometimes you can find cicadas that are beautiful and so colorful, with reds and greens and yellows and all sorts of amazing colors on it. But this one seems to be quite sort of playing in colors. And it's quite amazing. Now, these are incredible insects. They make lots and lots of noise. And I know that you've probably heard it a couple of times where we've sat quietly and we've asked you to turn your volume up as loud as it can on a nice summer's evening when the cicadas are in full sort of blown chorus singing, just madness, lots and lots of noise. And that can reach up to about 130 decibels or so. And that's quite loud. That would probably make you want to do something along those lines. But I thought that was quite nice. I haven't seen a cicada in ages. We shall leave it alone and let it enjoy its day. I think it probably doesn't even suspect that we spotted it. And they're normally insects that are quite hard to find. You don't actually see them around all the time. We've got lots and lots of zebras everywhere again. It seems as though everywhere we go, we find a zebra. Hello. You're very calm as well. And we always seem to see, though, when the food is sort of not as abundant as it has been, the animals start to relax a little bit more around us. And I think it's because they just can't be bothered to move and race away from us unnecessarily and exhaust themselves and burn off calories that are vital to them. We see it especially with the warthogs. I think I was saying yesterday how when the drought is at its worst, the warthogs almost appear tame and will come right up to sort of within a meter or two of you if it means that it's going to eat some grass. It's quite nice for us, of course, to have a few pictures and that type of thing, but we do hope that there's more rain coming. But again, I'm not too worried now that we had 20 mils of rain, because that's going to bring good covering of grass over the next few weeks. The wind's starting to pick up now, so that's good. It means it's hopefully going to blow some of the clouds in a little bit quicker. You can see them starting to build up in the distance. See that wall of clouds coming in from the west. Hopefully it's going to come straight towards us. Isn't that beautiful though? I think it's going to be another spectacular sunset tonight. Well done, Holly Wilson, who has given us the answer to the question. So apparently it seems to be a Dobson fly, which comes from China. That's quite amazing. I don't even know what a Dobson fly is. I'm actually going to have a little look myself, but I can imagine it must be ginormous. And apparently it has a wingspan of about 21 centimeters. Isn't that massive? Did anybody else guess that? I wasn't even close. I guessed praying mantis. But thanks for that. That was really, really a great question that came through, and it's so nice to have all of you interacting, having little debates and chatting like this, and together we can all learn lots, and of course lots of different things. So that's a new fact that's going in the brown notebook as soon as I can, but we're going to continue. Let's go back across to Byron and see what's happening down that end of the world.
Haven't been able to find any leopard or sign of leopard this afternoon, but this is what a leopard would look like if it was laying across this branch or over this big tree stump. So they are incredible climbers, and I've managed to climb up onto this one. I'm not as good a tree climber as James is. I see a lot of holes in this tree at the moment. I hope there are no little scorpions hiding in there. So took a chance, but that's what a leopard would look like if it was lying across a tree. So we're hopefully going to find one of those in the next few days. We haven't had too much luck with anything else. We are on our northern boundary and just having a good look around for any sign of animals that might have crossed. You never know. The temperature's cooled down quite a bit, so predators could possibly start getting a bit more active, and we might find out what the lions are up to. I know some other guys went and had a look, and maybe try to get to them a little bit later if they've moved out of that drainage line where we saw them. It was very thick in there, but you never know, they could come out a little bit later. We heard them calling last night in the rain. Just having a good look at the tracks while we're driving. And Cheryl has just asked, because she has seen so many zebra around, or we have seen so many zebra around on drive, and why haven't we seen more lions hunting zebra? Because there are a lot of zebra around. So I think, Cheryl, one of the main reasons is the zebras seem to still be in fairly good condition, so they're still healthy enough to be able to run away a lot quicker. The buffalo have been struggling because of the drought, because they need a lot of food to keep those massive bodies of theirs going. And I think because also there have been a lot of buffalo herds moving through the area and looking for water, it's been a bit easier for the lions hunting the buffalo. Possibly. That would be my theory, but I'm not too sure. It's a very good question, but that would be my theory, is that the buffalo just are a little bit weaker than the zebra, and it's a bit easier to hunt the buffalo at the moment. Let's see what else we can find. As I was saying, we heard those lions calling last night during the storm. Actually, they were calling, which is very interesting. And I wonder if tonight, if we're lucky, maybe we hear these lions calling again. They're not too far from camp, so Perhaps we are lucky. It's always wonderful. It's probably one of my favorite sounds in the bush, to hear lions roar, especially if you're able to get very close to them. It's absolutely incredible.